Recently, some people have been getting frustrated about being linked to players that we were interested in under David Moyes. Well, today we're being linked to somebody we were interested in under Slaven Bilic 9 years ago. We were still at Upton Park. Carl Jenkinson was a good right back and Diafra Sakho was our striker. Those were the days, weren't they? Anyway, N'Golo Kanté for 20 million. I'm unsure how I feel about this one. I'm very 50-50 on the fence. I'll explain as I go. I believe the interest is genuine. The Titans, when it comes to West Ham transfer rumours, are aligned on this one. Ex-West Ham employee Fabrizio Romano, Plattenberg, Sean, they've all said interest is there. Will, from The Guardian, did the article late last night. It's been backed up by the big hitters when it comes to West Ham specific transfer rumours. So I believe the interest. I believe there has been talks between West Ham and N'Golo's camp, his representatives. Whether we get him or not, I don't believe that. I don't think this will happen for various different reasons. But do I want it to happen? I'm unsure. There's two negatives, one really big one. And that's the obvious one, his wages. 400 grand a week he's on at Al-Ittihad. There's just no way we can go anywhere close to those wages. Now I'm aware N'Golo Kanté is a very humble person and one of the kindest footballers around. Apparently that's what we get told quite a lot. He doesn't splash the cash, he's not a flash geezer. But I'll tell you what he also isn't. A charity case that'll play football for free. Now I know we can offer him good wages, 100, 125 grand a week we'd be able to offer him. But it comes nowhere close to matching what he's on at Al-Ittihad, tax-free as well. So the wages are the huge concern here. Because if he was to come to West Ham, it would have to be within our structure. And yes, he would become our highest paid player. And I don't actually have an issue with that. But he couldn't get paid more than what the top earners are on, whoever that might be. It's supposedly Danny Ings, but whether it's Kurt Zouma, Jared Bowen with his new contract, he couldn't get paid more than them. It would have to be in line with that. And I just can't see that happening. The other concern I've got is his injury record. He was injured a little bit at Chelsea towards the end of his reign. I think he only played 7 games in the Premier League in his final season before heading over to Saudi. So there is injury problems with him. Now, last season, the season that's just occurred while over at Al-Ittihad, he was fine. He played 30 games. He missed about 4 games or something. Not an issue. In the majority, and I mean pretty much all bar a handful of those games, he played 90 minutes. So it looks like he's over his injury issues while over there. But the Premier League is a whole different level of demand. And now here's the positive, Gio, right? That's the negative part. There's a transfer fee as well to some extent, but we'll get onto it. But in terms of the player, whilst I haven't seen him play 1 minute in Saudi, I've seen him at the Euros and Chelsea beforehand. And I'm going to label him as world class. Now, world class is obviously subjective, but he's one of the best midfielders I've ever seen in the Premier League. I think he was absolutely ridiculous how good he was. Whether he still has that level of ability, I don't know. Now, obviously the Euros have just happened. I think there was maybe 3 French players I thought were really good. He was one of them. Koundé and Saliba were the other 2. They were the 3 that impressed me in a French shirt. And not many did. But you can't base much off a tournament. But however, I think Kanté is different to other players. So take Yilmaz, for example. We're being linked to him, the Turkish winger who's played as a striker during the Euros. I thought he was fantastic. I watched him. I thought this guy's really good. Don't know anything about him, but I thought he looked absolutely brilliant. Now, while we're being linked to him today, and it's kind of exciting, I'm not going to get my hopes up because the only evidence I've got for Yilmaz is what he did in the Euros. And I was a big fan of it, but I ain't taking that and going, yeah, that'll work at West Ham. Because club football and tournament football are 2 completely different things. Well, not even that. Club football and international football are 2 completely different things. But with Kanté, and this is the big difference, while he was good at the Euros, there is plenty of evidence. However, you are going back over a year ago to get that evidence. But he at Chelsea was world class. Assuming he still is. Assuming he still has that ability. Like I said, Chelsea, Euros, got it. It's just that year in the middle I'm unaware of. Assuming he's still world class. When would West Ham ever have the opportunity to sign a world-class player? Very, very rarely. Dimitri Payet was the last one. You can argue whether we bought him world-class or made it, or he became world-class while he was here. I don't know enough about his time prior to us signing him. I don't know. But that was the last player we purchased that became or was world-class. The opportunity to sign them doesn't come up too often. Now, Kudus may become one. Okay, I think he may become... Is he today? I don't think he is today, but I think he may go on and become one. But N'Golo Kanté, he's some player. If he wasn't 33, then 100% to get him in. That age is a bit of an issue. Now, he's only just turned 33. I think his birthday's at the end of March, so he will be 34 next summer, and assuming it would be a 2-year contract, it kind of had to be a 2-year contract, wouldn't it, with an option for a third if he's still doing it when he's 36 years old, then great. The age is obviously off-putting, but it's a world-class player. When do we get the opportunity to sign them? We don't. But for 20 million, we'd be washing our hands of it. We'd say, right, there's the 20 million. He's here until his contract expires and he moves on. But 20 million to have a world-class midfielder for 2-3 seasons. To put into context, we paid about 3-4 million to have Kalvin Phillips for 6 months. So you want to look at it as a loan. Would you pay 10 million to have Kanté on loan for the season? I'd assume the answer is no, but would you pay 5? You probably would. A world-class midfielder, 5 million for a season. That's how I'm looking at it. And I'm sort of, while I say I'm 50-50, I'm maybe 60-40 in favour of bringing him in. It does lead to the questions though, what is the plan? Why do we want N'Golo Kanté? What is it about him? Well, we know what he offers as a player, but what's the plan in terms of the squad and the team next season? Because it's one of two things. He's coming in to replace Edson Alvarez, or he's coming in to play next to Edson Alvarez. Either way, there's something going on here. What is the vision for N'Golo Kanté at this club? We're going to discuss that in just a minute, as well as why I don't think this deal will happen. And it's not just his wage, and it's not just his age. There's other issues as well. It's because of the club we're buying him for. We'll discuss that in a second. Before we do, just want to point in the direction of today's sponsor, which is Surfshark. Now, Surfshark are a VPN, and why are we working with Surfshark? Because we use them. Gonzo's used Surfshark for 3 years. Myself, about half of that, 18 months I've had Surfshark for. Fantastic VPN, never had any issues, really like it. And when we do our brand deals, our rule of thumb is if we won't buy it or use it, we won't promote it. And we've stuck to it. We've turned down a lot of brand deals, so we wanted to work with Surfshark, and we're pleased to. Because a VPN is important. When you're having sexy time with your partner, you use protection. When you get in the car, you use protection. So why would you not use protection whilst you are browsing online? You should do. You'd be best to. And the VPN is the best way to go about it. And you can get an offer with Surfshark from Hammers Chat, which is 4 months free. So when you sign up, you'll get an additional 4 months at no extra cost. Plus, there is a money back guarantee as well. So after you've got up to 30 days, so after 3-4 weeks, you don't like it, you're not happy with it, you think you made a mistake, you get in touch with them and you get a full refund. So you can you buy, then you try, but you can get a refund as well. Also, you can put it on multiple devices. So I've got it on my computer, I've got it on my phone, I've got it on my iPad downstairs as well. You can put it on your Fire Stick. So one account does multiple devices. But the most important thing is the most important thing is safety. But on Monday, when we were watching the West Ham final, we did the watch along. So we're live 5-10 minutes before kick-off. People in the live chat were saying, I can't watch it, I can't access it. So I had the YouTube channel, West Ham's YouTube channel loaded, and my stream was there. But people were saying, I can't watch it in this country. And they were from different countries. We can't watch it. Only the people in the UK could watch it. If you had Surfshark, you could have watched it, because what you can do is change your geolocation to the UK, and then you'd be able to access YouTube as if you are in the United Kingdom, and you would have been able to access that West Ham friendly without being in the UK. Loads of different benefits and features. The link's in the description below, so please go have a look. But use the code HammersChat or the link in the description, and you'll get 4 months free. And like I said, you can get a full refund as well if you're unhappy with their service. But I'm quite confident you'll enjoy it. Stay protected online, people. Microsoft broke the internet today. It's a vulnerable place. Make sure you are protected. Anyway, moving on to N'Golo Kanté. What does it mean? Like I said, to me it means one of two things. Edson Alvarez is off. We are planning on cashing in on Edson Alvarez. Obviously, the interest from Man United. They brought a striker. They bought a centre-back. They haven't got a midfielder yet. Lots of talk that Scott McTominay is off ski, so maybe they're in the market for centre midfielder. Edson Alvarez is obviously injured at the minute. However, it's not a long-term injury. He should be back before the season kicks off or just after. So there is a window of opportunity for Man U to buy him, despite his absence at the minute. Is N'Golo Kanté a replacement for him? Are we thinking we can get 60 million for Alvarez, sign Kanté for 20, 40 million in the kitty, world class, arguably an upgrade? The big significant issue is the age difference. I get that. But is this what we're looking at? Or is it to play next to Alvarez? Is it someone that's a bit more disciplined in terms of positioning, to play next to him? He can be box to box. Well, he's known as a defensive midfielder, Kanté. I do think his box to box game is underrated sometimes. And listen, he ain't contributing goals and assists. He's not doing that. But what he can do is get up the pitch, drive your team up the pitch a bit. And we've seen it in the Euros quite often, whether it be Tchouaméni sitting in, or Camavinga sitting, who would go forward a little bit and get involved in the attack. And he's got that engine on him that, well, Thomas Souček's got it, but it's few and far between in football in this day and age. Now, the reason I don't think it'll happen is because it's 20 million. And the wages, especially, the age isn't really a factor as to why I think it will happen or not happen. I think that's why you'd be interested or not. But if we're interested, despite his age, I don't think his age has a contributing factor as to whether this deal will go through or not. I think it's the fee of 20 million and, more importantly, the wages. But the update from Fabrizio Romano is that Al-Ittihad do not want to sell. However, there's a bit of a complication here, and this is where Ben Jacobs is a really good journalist, because he's clued up on things that go on in Saudi, and he is where I learn about Saudi Arabia in regards to football. And he's spoken before about how when the Saudis buy a player, now Kanté was free, that's important here, but when they buy a player, the money doesn't come out of the club, it comes out of a fund, and clubs have access to that fund. So it's the ministry that control the money to some extent, and that's why these deals need to be approved by the ministry. To flip it round, it'd be a bit like the Premier League having this massive budget and every club's allowed to take from it, but you need to get the transfer signed off by the Premier League before you can buy them, and every club can take a share of the kitty. But when you buy a player from Saudi, the money doesn't go into the club, the money goes back in to this kitty. So over in Saudi at the minute, other clubs and more importantly the ministry are keen for this to go through, because it's a player that they didn't pay for and they can cash in and get 20 million for. It's obviously a healthy budget for them, and that 20 million will go back into the fund which all the clubs can access. Hopefully that makes sense. There is also tax issues, or complications should I say, for Kanté if he leaves. If you leave within 2 years of going there, it can cause complications. Jota, Jordan Henderson, they were a bit different because they were leaving so soon and in the same tax year. But according to Ben Jacobs, there will be tax implications for N'Golo Kanté, which makes this one a little bit more difficult than a straightforward transaction if we were buying from another Premier League club. And I think because of that fee, and because of these potential issues and these wages, I just don't see this one happening. I really don't. Like I said, I think the interest is genuine. I think we've maybe sounded it out. Kanté apparently is interested in returning to London or European football. Well, if he does, he's going to have to take a massive pay cut. If he was available and his wages were in line with the payment structure at West Ham already, I'm all for it. 20 million is a bit chunky though. However, we sold Flynn Downs for 18. Is N'Golo Kanté worth £2 million more than Flynn Downs? Ability-wise, 100% yes. You know, one player's done it in the Championship in the Conference League. The other one's done it at the World Cup, the Euros, the Champions League, won the Premier League title with different clubs, being the best player in the Premier League, the best player in the Premier League. Granted, we're going back a few years here, but in terms of ability, I think there's a significant difference. It's just his age. He'd be 33. We'd be writing it off. Is selling Flynn Downs worth getting N'Golo Kanté in for 2 or 3 seasons? When you word it like that, this is why I'm 60-40. I'm not against it. And I know people will say, well, this is not what we thought we were getting with the transfer market. What's the project? This isn't where's Tim the Pearl Diver? I'll maybe do a video next week, but I think this is exactly what West Ham have signed up to in terms of getting Tim Steidten. I am not surprised by these links. Well, when we're getting links to David Moyes targets, I'm not surprised for a different reason, homegrown. And when we're linked to N'Golo Kanté, I'm still not surprised because it's kind of what I expected with Tim Steidten coming here. And it won't just be signings that are 33 years old. It's got to be a mix. There's got to be a balance. We've got one unknown young player in Guilherme. They're not all going to be like that. Just like they're not all going to be N'Golo Kanté, 33-year-old, £20 million signings. There's going to be a balance. And that's Tim Steidten's job, to get it right. Because if he does, happy days. And this is definitely a signing for the short. Guilherme, long-term signing. Kanté, if it happens, short-term one. He would walk into our starting 11. If we sign him, he walks into there. Well, he probably jogs in, doesn't stop jogging, does he? But he probably jogs into our starting 11. Happy days. He's someone's coming out of that team for him. Who? I don't know. That's up to Lopetegui to decide. But apparently he's a long-time admirer as well. I don't think it'll happen. But even as I've been discussing in the video, wages permitting, I kind of wanted to. A world-class player at West Ham. It doesn't happen too often. The opportunity doesn't come around too often. Actually, I'm all for it. I just forgot to say, if you enjoyed the video, please do drop a like on it, subscribe if you're new to Hammer Chat, and also get your thoughts in the comments below regarding the potential pursuit of N'Golo Kanté. I'm genuinely intrigued to see what people think about this one. I think there'll be people that hate it, saying too old, overpaid, don't do it, and I think there'll be other people that say, whoa, world class, get him in. I'm intrigued. Get involved. I'll catch you in a bit.